Welcome, everybody. I'm going to present a window. There we go. Okay, yes. So Kwaai, democratizing AI through tools, fundamentals, and policy. What does it mean? That's our mission. When we dive deeper, we think that tools, part of democratizing AI would be making tools available to everyone. Tools to allow you to train your own digital twin, your own personal assistant, and your own co-pilot. In fact, it's our thesis that if you don't own your own co-pilot, you're actually giving up the pilot seat. Imagine if, for instance, your employer were to train a co-pilot on your work output. Not difficult to do, actually. A large language model can be refined on your email inbox. And there you have a communication assistant that will be able to glean what you've been doing and be able to repeat that. And maybe it's just an enhancement tool, but it could certainly allow your employer to maybe hire a junior and still have part of your skills. So it's our thesis that co-pilots, digital assistants, digital twins are your tools of the trade. You should be allowed to take them from job to job. And one of the outputs, open source outputs of Kwaai, will be tools to allow you to retrain, refine, and build your own co-pilot. A lot more of that was said in other materials, so I won't go into more detail. The other area that we intend to make progress on is AI fundamentals. I actually had an in-depth conversation with NTT about that yesterday. It seems to be the area where potential enterprise members are most interested in. A lot of the area of work in fundamentals is cutting edge and probably going to be the subject of really breakthrough research, the sort of work that is not in line with immediate corporate goals, coming up with a new perceptron, coming up with new methodologies for neural networks that would allow them to converge faster, train on less data, think and learn concurrently in the same instance, like we do in our human brain. So there are areas that we will be pursuing, and more to come later. The third track is a non-technical track. It's the policy track, but we feel that policy and technology need to go hand in glove. The sort of areas we're going to make progress on there, the terms and conditions that go into employment agreements, GPL for training data, and nutrition facts. I talked more about that last week. I'm going to skip over the details, and I want to get to the Kwaai ecosystem. And that will go into what the goals are and the roadmap is for the future. We're looking for our first founding enterprise member. So that'll be the area that I think we need to start exploring outreach. But let me talk my way around this system diagram. First of all, here's Kwaai in the middle. The typical entities, and there are three classes of entities that we interact with. There's everyone on the call, volunteers and technical partners, contributing their time and their smarts, coming away smarter, with fame and glory and some experience. It's a non-profit, so we're not doing this for wealth. But there'll be fame and glory for everybody. Wealth may come as well. In order to fund the lab, in order to fund Kwaai, it's an industry association. It's going to be set up as a non-profit. We're in the process of reviewing the paperwork of 501c3 or 501c6 Let me just give you this is probably too much information you want. If you look at Linux, for instance, industry association, developer community, that's a 501c6. If you look at OpenAI, it's a 501c3. So the devil's in the details of those, and we're mulling over what we're going to do there. Enterprises will pay for membership. Many industry associations are set up like that. Why would they do that? They'll do that because they want to get the benefits of a lab of smart people working on cool stuff. Perhaps they've got a lab of their own. Perhaps they're too small. Maybe small and medium-sized businesses can't afford to have a lab of their own and want to participate in a global industry collaboration. So there'll be tiers of membership. If you go and look at other example organizations like FIDO, and I've been a member of FIDO, I think I still am actually, there's a tier of membership, and membership has its privileges. The higher the tier will determine what level of access and in fact control you have over the research and development. And then the third entity, what happened there? Okay, did we crash? So Matthew, I'm going to hand back to you. Matt, I'm going to hand back to you. I'm going to reboot and then come back in, and hopefully I can continue with the rest of what I have to say.
Sounds good. We'll go ahead and we'll also get Matthew M here, McMullen here. Matthew has been contributing to helping us finalize some of the elements of the Kwaai Manifesto. This is really the mission statement and kind of how we think about how Kwaai is thinking about promoting this to the industry. Matthew, are you there?
Yep. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep. All good.
Beautiful. So Reza, thank you for setting that up. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Mr. Small, great organization running this. So let me just introduce the summary of the manifesto. But before I do that, reintroducing Kwaai, just in case the people on the call weren't able to really grasp it. So the backdrop, which this is also included in the memo, but the backdrop is, as AI, especially LLMs, reshape society, our choice is clear. Basically, we can harness AI for the common good or risk deepening divides. So Kwaai's role is that we are the bridge. So an AI R&D lab building connections with you, developers, academia, and professionals, with a mission that's threefold. So in the memo, there's a pretty clear mission statement, or not a mission statement, but a LinkedIn summary almost, that outlines these three parts of our mission, which is to empower individuals with control over their digital twins, champion AI research on the fundamentals specifically, and lay the groundwork for responsible AI policy. So the memo, the manifesto, we're welcoming a lot of feedback from each of you. This will be available on our website, and right at the top, memo versus manifesto. We're welcoming feedback on the entire body of the work. But over the past few weeks, we've collected some feedback, and the highlights of the memo start with a challenge, a fact that beyond innovation, AI is creating a new job landscape, which is basically demanding or even ushering in elevated industry standards. And the memo highlights 4 specific hurdles. The first one being the shadow of monopoly. So the threat of power consolidation amongst the richest enterprises being able to have the only access to AI. And the second one is the fight for digital identity. So protecting employee contributions and rights, especially as they contribute to AI development. And the third is corporations face this potential financial burden from a cloud tax as AI SaaS continues to grow. So it's enticing businesses to spend more on leveraging their own logic, which is basically reminiscent of the shift from CapEx to OpEx with cloud adoption a decade ago. And the last one is green AI, so tackling AI's carbon footprint and environmental challenges. So the current progress of this memo, this manifesto, is underway, where we're tightening 2 things. One is our vision. So we need a sharpened vision statement, and this is in the works. And we're also building a simple roadmap. So we're laying down our strategic path, but that's yet to be finalized. There are these are actually part of our next steps and something we should be focusing on over the next week. So again, that vision clarification, being able to crystallize our vision and ensure that it resonates with each of you, but also the industry as a whole, and it drives action. Road mapping. So again, through these advisor sessions, through these open working sessions with you all, we're designing our blueprint for the future. And the last part, in terms of a next step to this manifesto or memo, is a press strategy. So I'm working on teasing our manifesto's core principles, and the intention is to send out to different publications to see if they'll take it up. One of the ideas from last week, in fact, and this is where that feedback comes in, one of the ideas was to focus on a journal publication with the benefit of peer reviews. I think that this depends on our vision and our near-term roadmap. So for example, if our focus is first to research AI development and those fundamentals, then that'd be different than working on a commercial product like a tool to own your digital twin. So my feedback, and remember, Kwaai is built by us, so the community, so this feedback is welcomed, is that we should start with maybe even policy in a particular direction that helps us enable the community to better understand the building blocks of AI. So policy can both or do many things, such as educate, align community, and even drive decisions. And part of the memo has this idea of Kwaai's policy focus, which is around nutrition facts. So basically a label published by a vendor, a tool, or even a model that can attest to the scope of the training data, as well as other ingredients like the model's performance metrics, including quality and bias. So again, this manifesto, public, even before it's published, and we welcome feedback from everyone on the call, because this basically belongs to you. And so at this stage, we're trying to amplify our voice, so that I would say that's maybe the underlying reason for publishing a memo in this manifesto. And we're also welcoming more voices to the table. So next week, we're looking to take this a step further with that, again, that clear mission and that clear vision and that clear roadmap.
Right. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I'm back now. Matt, do you?
Yeah, thanks, Matthew. Appreciate that. There was a question here too from Mayra of kind of where people can find this to go in and get comments. Not sure we've fully sorted that out just yet. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so Reza, it's currently on my drive for my company. I need, and a few people are shared because I moved it over from the muck that was mostly around grammar and sentence structure and structure over the entire memo. But now that it's in a better position, I think it would be a good idea for you to take back control, Reza, and maybe put it on the website.
Yeah. So previously it was only shared within a small group. I'm going to open it up for wider comment, at least for everyone that has gone and signed or joined on the website. So there is a join, it's like a Google form. If you've got an email address, you've entered your ID, I'm going to use that as the distribution list. So if you want to be on it, please go on the website, Kwaai.ai. You'll find a join button, which is a simple form, just a way of getting your contact information in. It's nothing more than that. Okay, let me, we've got some more raised hands. Before I present this last slide, why don't we just cover those raised hands, Matt?
Yeah, great. Kai, you were up first there.
Yeah, I think one thing very important is that the general tone or feeling that people can have from the manifesto should not like Kwaai versus big corporation and the oligarchs people. because at the end of the day, we will reach our goal if everybody is in the same logic and see the mutual benefit. So I think it's very important we position the manifesto in the way that it's inclusive, widely, including the big corporation and so on, and put it in a way so they can see why they can get more by open up and the ultimate reason of, it's like biodiversity, right? It's the point that I think is important. I mean, personally.
Okay, thanks for that. And that's an important redirection or guide rails for us to rethink. The manifesto is a bit inflammatory, a bit maybe emotive, and is calling on. I think Davor last week said it sounds like a subversive underground organization. Really, we don't want that, but it is highlighting a risky path that we're traveling on. Okay, Matt, any more before I present this one slide?
I was just going to open it back up. If anybody has, we have room for one more question here before we jump to the next part. All right, we'll save them for after. All you, Reza.
Great. Okay, I'm just going to show this one slide. What's the roadmap for Kwaai? And I'm just looking at Q3 and Q4. The theme for Q3, we're in the middle of Q3, is to grow the organization. So to launch Kwaai, we did that at DataCon LA. I think it was reasonably successful. I can give you the metrics on what the traffic is on the website and how many views we've got on LinkedIn and so on. It's a call to action. It's to rally people to sign up and volunteer, and recruit an advisory board, and then establish governance. So if we can get those things done in Q3, we can pat ourselves on the back. My original goal was to grow a lab crew of 25. Well, we've blown past that already. In that Google form that's on the website, when you click the join button, if you've added there, I think we've got close on 40 people have signed up. There's loads of people on the call that actually haven't signed up, so make sure you're counted, because if you sign up there, then you get added to the invite on the for the weekly call, and you get added to a mailing list. And when we get a newsletter going, or other things, you also those that have put their hand up and said they want to be advisors, they get to be content moderators or content contributors on the LinkedIn page, so you're able to post there. So Q4, what are we going to do for Q4? Well, we're going to kick off the working groups. That's really the meat and potatoes, the real output of what we're going to do. The three broad working groups: tools, fundamentals, and policy. We've got potential leaders for each of those tracks. We know that Govinda is probably the most qualified to lead the policy track, since he was Deputy General Counsel at Real Networks, and he knows at least the legislative landscape and the regulatory issues around that. We are looking for leads for fundamentals. I think I know who's probably the most qualified on the list at the moment, and but you got to volunteer if you want to head up that part. And then on the tool section, also looking for someone to lead that. We want to land our first enterprise member. I had a really interesting conversation. It was the third conversation, a series of conversations with a big enterprise company. You know, since it's a public call, I won't call them out, but it was on the road to landing our first enterprise customer. Q3 goal is to just get one. By Q4, we should have grown to a membership of 5. So these become like the founding enterprise members. If you have anybody that you think, any company that you think we should pitch to, then hey, let me know and we'll start hitting them up. Mike, you've raised your hand.
Oh, yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just was raising as put a pin in it, but I'm just curious. A couple things I'm curious about because I may be able to help in that area. But how were the pricing of the tiers, the cost of the tiers determined?
That's fantastic.
And the reason why I'm asking is because intuitively it seems like that top tier is too low, and I'm not sure exactly how much money the organization really needs to have a productive lab. You know, some's going to be volunteer, but I would imagine there's some subsidy, you know, some money that's going to have to go to.
Okay, I think you're right. I'd like to have an offline conversation with you about the pricing of the tiers. I've definitely, other organizations, they have their tiers priced. That somebody said that just gets you a seat at the table. The commissioning of projects, that's probably separately funded. But Michael Nathan, thank you for your input. Michael suggests that top tier should be sort of $500,000, $250,000 to $500,000. So yeah, I'd love your feedback in that. There was actually another friend of mine, Per Schofers, who's a pricing expert, and he was giving me advice on what those pricing tiers should be. So yeah, I'd love guidance on what those should be. Great. So look, let me. I think that's enough on this section here. I've got another slide for fiscal goals. You know, I think that's too much in the weeds for a public call. But goals for Q3: grow the org. I think we're well on the way. Goals for Q4: we want to hold our first summit. So it's going to be an in-person summit. Might be an in-person? I don't know. I want your thoughts on that. Early October. I'm inclined to make it in Los Angeles. Hey, because I'm down here, and looking for a venue. So a company that would want to host us, that would be fantastic. We will, as I said, develop the working groups. At that point, we'll launch the working groups. Grow the lab. We want to grow to about 125, and grow the enterprise membership to 5. So I'm going to stop sharing at this point. Let's go back to you, Matt. Back to the agenda.
Yeah, thanks, Reza. We'll open this up for some public comments and questions. We'll try to take it in order of hand raise. Mayra, I saw you raise yours first, and then it went down, and then I'll pick you first, and then we'll go to Kai.
Okay. It's actually Myra, but that's
sorry.
Hey, Myra. Myra used to work with me.
Yes. I've been at Real Networks for close to 20 years now, but my question was more along the lines of having these different tiers. What is the different access that a platinum versus gold tier would get you? And then, you know, just because an organization might be smaller, I would think they would need more of our lab and its resources than, let's say, a much bigger organization, to which, you know, 100K is not so much.
Yeah. Good questions. You know, the lower tier will get early access to the open source development prior to release. Tier above might be able to get a certain level of direction of what's going on, direction of projects. the tier above that might get to be able to actually commission an entire project. There's actually a good example in the FIDO organization where they've got a detailed matrix of what the capabilities are, how whether you can serve on a committee, whether you can propose legislation. It gets into the weeds, and we could probably this isn't something we have to invent. This is a wheel that already exists, and we can take from the blueprints of other organizations like the Linux Foundation as well.
So are you saying that an enterprise would be able to have a seat at the board?
Yeah, I think the first 5, the founding members, definitely, there probably will be a governing board as well. And, depending on how big this goes, my vision is that this could be many thousands strong by the end of next year, in which case it does become an unwieldy organization. I'm hoping, it's not my strength, I'm hoping we're going to have people on board by then that's going to be able to manage an organization of that size. Yeah. Next question.
Kai.
Yeah, I think one thing very important is we are not going, people don't think that we are going to do another open AI that is open and then become, so
become closed AI. We're going to
yes,
start off as open AI, then rename ourselves to closed AI.
Exactly. So first of all, detail, but I think it can have an impact sometime. And I took that with you, Reza, is probably we should call ourselves Kwaai.org, O-R-G, to make it very explicit. This is one thing. The other thing is we want democratization, right? So we should not privilege the one that have more money. I mean by that is it's not because you're a big corporation and you pay a lot, then you have more access to the small one. And I think that everybody that would sponsor should have the same level of access. It's just depend on their size that the price is different. So you give the same chance to a startup company or small thing than the big one. And my last comment is that I would not feel very comfortable to have a big company on board because then it can damage the image of, the nonprofit that we want to do things. So this is my comment.
Fair points. Those are all fantastic points. And in fact, the way FIDO prices its tiers, you pay depending on the size of your corporation, and you actually get the same level of and incidentally, I purchased both Kwaai.ai and Kwaai.org. So once we've got the 501c3 filing done, then we can start adopting Kwaai.org.
Well, I think so. It's just yeah, you can wait or you can just do it now okay, because people can start to I don't know.
Understood. Okay, sorry, Mike's got his hand back up again, Matt.
Yeah, Mike, you're up.
Yeah, sorry. I actually was going to make some of the points that Kai just made, because I do think that if our goal is to be a democratized organization, it's very dangerous when you get corporates involved to the point that they're steering influence through their money and contributions. And let's face it, we're going to need them, and we're going to have to listen, and there's going to be that. So one thing that dawned on me is that this is the perfect application for a tokenized organization. And I know it's a dirty word to some people, but I think of all the innovation that is related to the ability to tokenize things, creating working groups in the old-fashioned way would have been more democratized and fairer, and outcomes and financial rewards can happen through tokenization while it still is open and open sourced and open and available, and it helps with voting and all sorts of things to steer direction in a democratized fashion.
Okay. I'd love
so
to hear
we
more.
Have an offline conversation, Reza. That's one of the topics. There's a couple of topics I want to talk to you about. The other one is related to a strong focus on self-sovereign identity, which a previous organization I started has a bunch of intellectual property related to that, which was focused on AI amongst other things. So it may be some way to jumpstart some of these activities too.
Okay, Matt, I think Masu was next, and then Kai.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. We'll take one more, Masu, and then we'll move on to some introductions for folks that might want to introduce themselves to the group. Masu.
So I'm going to keep it short. My suggestion, comment, going back to Matthew's point earlier about like we needed to be quite active in terms of putting policies and things. For the initial corporations to avoid that domination from their perspective of how they're going to influence our thoughts in the process of like being an open organization, we could be selective. We could go after the folks that we think are a good fit. They're flexible in terms of their innovation. They're flexible in terms of want to improve their enterprise, and as opposed to they come and reach us and kind of dominate us. Like NTT is a good example. We could also have a kind of eye in other areas, like not necessarily US, maybe Europe, maybe somewhere else, like organizations that are a better fit for our value and our manifesto today, and then from that, enhance it and then open up to other folks later on.
Great. Okay, Matt, you're guiding.
Awesome. Thank you, Masu. What we'll do now, we'll open it up just for a few minutes for further public comments and introductions. If you're new to the group, would like to introduce yourself. Kai, if you want to kind of kick us off, with some public commentary. And if you'd like to introduce yourself, please again put your hand up, and I'll call you up.
Okay. So I have an MD, PhD in AI, work in AI for 30 years. Sorbonne University, same university than Jan LeCun. He was graduate 5 years before me, some common professor. He was purely machine learning, and I was on reasoning and how to unify the two. Create my first AI company. It was in fintech, CRM, because at that time, life science is not what it is today. Had been acquired for quite good price, and then started 2017 for Thinking Not Life, dedicate for life science. And what we are doing is we generate human digital cell clones using reasoning. So it's a generative distributed reasoning AI and not machine learning, and we generate reasoning model. And in this case, it's a digital cell clone for drug R&D. I just wanted to add one comment on the discussion very rapidly. I think one of the worst decisions we have made is to make corporation legal as a person, because the CEO can realize the damage that the company is doing, but then the CEO is out and the company still continue. What I mean by that is, again, if we talk about democratization, we should have only people involved, never ever big or small company involved, because they don't have the same voice than human and they can have other interests. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Matt, you're muted.
Thanks, Kai. Justin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Justin Reese. I'm a scientist at Berkeley Lab. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I am a researcher in machine learning and AI. I mostly work with biomedical data. I'm an academic, so that's kind of the waters I swim in. I generally am a big exponent of open source software and data, and I think especially for biomedical purposes, I feel strongly that it should be, all of this should be free as in beer and free as in speech. And so that was sort of my motivation when Reza asked me to join the advisory board, that I saw a couple of his talks, and I've read it up a bit, and that really resonated with me. And I agree with things that others have said. There's kind of a disturbing trend towards closed source and sort of leveraging all these tools for the benefit of a very small fraction of the people who might benefit. And so the Linux for AI thing is very appealing to me. And anyway, I'm glad to contribute if I can, and it's nice to meet everybody.
Justin, you were invited by Afshin. You were introduced by Afshin, is that right?
That's right, yeah. Afshin and I have worked on a couple projects together. We continue to work on a couple of biomedical projects together.
Well, this is fantastic. We've got a very strong tendency towards the life sciences, so maybe that's going to be a separate, work group. And really looking forward to your contribution. Thanks.
Great.
Matt, who's next?
Yeah, welcome, Justin. Brittany, would you like to say a few words?
Hi, I just wanted to introduce myself. I saw Reza's keynote speech at the DataCon LA convention last week, and I, felt it was a perfect thing for me to join as a volunteer. So that's what I'd like to contribute. I'm a full stack software engineer right now and manager. I'm the only computer literate person at my company right now, and I have a background in my background is actually in media studies and film. I taught myself how to code while I was working live entertainment in New York. Yeah, and I moved out here and got a full-time job. And
Brittany, we're delighted to have you on board. Thanks so much. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you guys. I'm very excited.
Great.
Well,
so a few others who is silent that I'd like to hear. I'd like to hear from Colin Miller. Colin Miller is one of the founding members of Enflux. Colin, are you still on the call?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Hey, Colin, speak up. There we go.
Yeah, of course. Nice to meet you, and thanks for all the friendly introductions. As you mentioned, I was a founder of Enflux AI, so I've worked in AI for about 7 years. My contributions were pretty much all over the place at the company because as a founder, you wear many hats. But my main focus was computer vision and designing the core architecture of the computer vision system, which was a AI-assisted co-pilot for factory workers in the manufacturing space. So we grew fairly rapidly through 2 economic downturns, which were perfectly timed for our funding rounds, but the company is still alive, so I think that says something. So,
and Colin, you're a neighbor, or I mean, you live down nearby.
Yeah, in Los Angeles area.
Yeah. Okay. And I know your mum.
Yes.
It's a small world.
Yeah. Yeah.
I took a painting class, a plein air painting class at the local college, and it was your mum that was the teacher. Anyway, so really glad that you dialed in today. Thanks so much.
Of course.
Who else is not speaking up? Kevin and Marie, a couple that came to talk to me after the keynote. Kevin, are you on the call? I don't know if Kevin's dialed in. But anyway, anybody else who's new that has not spoken yet? And good heavens, Pankaj Kadir. Okay, so Pankaj, we're gonna put you on the hot seat in a minute. Myra's got her hand up. Myra. Sorry. Okay, Myra's hands down. Okay, I'm going to introduce Pankaj Kadir. Oh, sorry. Okay, Myra's back on. Myra, off you go.
Sorry about that. Yeah. I was speaking on mute. So I wanted to introduce myself. I've been to maybe one other meeting before this one. I started as QA at Real Networks over about 15 years ago, and recently moved into a service delivery area. And one of the products that we're working with is a messaging product that uses AI and ML to determine if content of any given message is safe for the end user to be able to receive. And so my experience with AI and ML is limited, but it's absolutely a fascinating area to go into. And one of my concerns is in gaming. Having a 13-year-old myself, I have personally seen where people make contact with kids who are on gaming platforms, and there's no way that you can determine if they are actually a kid or an adult. And just being able to use AI and ML to be able to stop that communication, especially if it's going towards dangerous areas. That was one of the things that I really wanted to look into and see if we can find a way to use this.
Thanks, Myra. I'm gonna introduce. Gosh, why can't I unmute you now? You have to unmute yourself, I think. Pankaj. I'm going to introduce Pankaj Kadia. Are you muted? There we go.
I'm here.
Yeah, so Pankaj, I know you from Intel Capital. You then left Intel, went to Qualcomm, and founded their whole wearables business. And now you're a free agent. You're roaming wild. And I bumped into you at the AI4 conference in the Uber queue. And thanks so much for joining the call. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Reza. Thank you. I've been listening, and seems like it's the beginning of something big, something needed. So that's exciting to hear. Yes, I started few businesses inside Intel and Qualcomm, but AI has been my passion. My master's long time ago was in AI. My first couple of jobs were in AI. And now I have become a full-time investor, advisor, working with many AI companies. So if I can help this team advance your goals, it would be a true privilege. Reza, you introduced me to a couple of folks here. I'm looking forward to speaking with you. And I'm just happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Pankaj. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, Matt,
sure.
Back to you.
Looks like if there's anybody else that'd like to do one more, we have maybe room for one more quick self-intro. If there's anybody new, I see a few new names on the list, but I don't want to call you out. I'm not going to do what Rose is doing here. Put you on the spot. If you'd like to say hello. If we're no more hands, then I can. Oh, there's a hand.
Hey, hi, real quick. Yeah, hi. This is Jason Boldovich. I work with HPE, but I'm actually involved in the more of the data analytics, open source tool management area of the company. So I do work with a lot of AI and related industries and companies throughout the West Coast. And before that, I also did spend some time with a startup out of Israel called Desi.ai, which is does have open source tooling and computer vision tasks, enhancement for computer vision and so forth. So I've got some experience in the industry, and just looking forward to helping push kind of the open source, community and seeing how we can assist. So nice to be a part of it.
Thanks so much, Jason. So glad you joined the call. You were one of the first people to sign up on the website. So thanks so much.
Yeah, look forward to getting involved. Thanks.
We'll do one more here before we wrap. AZ.
Yes, hi. Thanks, Matthew. Matt, also, hi, everyone. I'm really glad this is continuing. I just traveled from across the world. I have been a technologist and in tech, worked for a lot of big names, mostly in the program management side. I'm an entrepreneur and just started working for Cisco. But the fact is that I've been in contracting so long, so I'm actually looking for work. So I'm connected to a few of you. Program management, project management has been my background. I'm basically getting back into dev work because that's, project managers are the first ones to be let go. I was at Meta, I was part of the layoff. So so that's just planting that thought in there. And looking forward to, it's great work, what's being done here. I just came across an AI resource. I'll find the name where, in fact, I have it. It's a cloud for startups. I don't know if you guys are aware. In fact, I just shared the name with someone. It's called the Andromeda Cluster. Are you familiar with the Andromeda Cluster? So it's a cloud made for startups, and that may be a compute resource. Just wanted to plant that thought. So,
fantastic. Okay. So thank you, Matt. Matt, are we ready for wrap up? Okay. So it doesn't matter why you join. Most people are on this call have got this sort of angst about the direction that AI is going in. Some people want to just join for the purpose of networking. Great. The more the merrier. We're still growing out the advisory board. If you're capable of furthering the mission of Kwaai, then please sign up. If you can contribute 8 hours a month or more, that's what we're looking for. I'm looking to, as I said, the goals for Q3, grow the organization. We seem to be are meeting our goals at the moment. Yes, we do need to land some of those enterprise members, but also be mindful of not providing undue influence from them. We are looking for a venue for the Q4 early Q4 summit, and any volunteers, any organizations that want to host us, I'm open to suggestions. Great, thank you very much.
Thanks all. We'll wrap it. This recording will be posted on the YouTube channel here in a few days. Thanks all for joining. We'll see you next week.
Great.
Later, Reza.